Welcome to Wine and Chill with Shanice Danielle. It's your girl Shanice Danielle and my lovely co-host Luke.
What's going on, y'all?
So Luke, tell the people what we're drinking this week.
So today we are drinking Sauvignon Blanc.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's like our thing.
Yeah, it's our thing. It's delicious. White wine goes with a lot of different things.
Pretty smooth,
Just
yeah.
try it. Definitely goes down smooth.
So this week we have some hot topics going on. I'm excited to jump into it. So the first one, T-Pain and Aaliyah.
Ooh.
Now, apparently T-Pain said something way back in 2015, which is pretty old, but it resurfaced on the internet recently, and I just saw it. So I'm late to the party. I'm sure you're late to it too.
I'm late to the party.
But I'm kind of fed up with what he said. I find it disrespectful, but it's fine.
What he has said, girl. What he has said.
Apparently, T-Pain said that Aaliyah's death overhypes her legacy. Do you agree with him?
I think it's fairly accurate.
Elaborate. Please elaborate.
Well, like, she had some great hits. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, her music was it was excellent music.
Mm-hmm.
But when, like, he said, like, she trying to be Beyonce or, like, comparing her to Beyonce, so, like, she doesn't have longevity. Like, she never had that opportunity to have the longevity.
True.
So, who's to say that she wouldn't have fell off or she would have just disappeared into the background? Or we know right before she died, you know, she was doing a movie, so who's to say she wouldn't lean more towards acting instead?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, we can't really, like, say, like, she was great because she didn't have enough time to work for it. Like, all the greats that we have now, they worked for it. They earned it. You know what I mean? Like,
continue. Go ahead.
she was cute while she was there. You know what I mean? Like, great music, great looks, you know, all that wonderful stuff. But you don't have the longevity that I need for me to qualify you for bigger things. You know what I mean?
To me, a legend is someone who makes a clear mark on music, on trends, things like that. To me, I felt like Aaliyah made a trend with the sound with Timbaland and Missy when she was on the rise with One in a Million and songs like that. I feel like she created a new sound that elevated where we're at now in music. I feel like the hip-hop R&B blend is pretty dope that she gave us, and also her fashion sense, all of that. You just can't forget someone who delivered that much uniqueness to the industry. So I feel like even though she didn't have longevity, she didn't have the chance to, unfortunately. So we can't sit there and be like, oh, she never had a chance to have that legendary status, because to me, we see it in artists today, what Aaliyah has done. Sierra, okay, I see a little bit in Beyonce sometimes.
Where is Sierra?
But honestly, it doesn't matter where Sierra is. It's the fact that she contributed something continuously to different artists. You see it in a bit with Rihanna. You see it all a little bit with her fashion, with her flow of music, all of that.
I don't see Rihanna or those two girls like being like a Whitney Houston though. Like, I think they're popular now for this day and age, and like, who's to say that popularity is going to roll over, you know, 10 15 years from now? You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, you have to be able to put out generation after generation consistently of, you know,
but it's still not
good
there
label
because
music.
Aaliyah didn't have a chance. I feel like,
So that's why we can't compare her.
but you can give her a legendary status. She did contribute
Girl,
stuff
you
to the industry.
you got a plaque on the Walk of Fame. That's all you need.
You know, the Walk of Fame stars, they buy their own stars, right?
Well, their family.
So I'm just saying, we can't be saying, oh, they buying their stars.
Okay, well, that means I could buy a star on the Walk of Fame, right?
Anyway, back to
I want a star, y'all.
back to Aaliyah. My point is, though, is that a lot of people tend to say that if Aaliyah was alive, she would be bigger than Beyonce. I feel like that's the problem. I feel like, why are we comparing Aaliyah and Beyonce? I used to do it personally. I'm not going to lie. I used to be like, oh, like, they're right, whatever. But I feel like Beyonce would have still had her status that she's at. I feel like Aaliyah would have done her thing, too. It would have just been two different lanes. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the problem. When, you know, the Beehive, when you bring in Beyonce, everyone's going to be like, well, you know, she's overhyped. Aaliyah is overhyped. And it's just like, we got to compare. They're both fabulous. Aaliyah contributed to stuff that Beyonce, you know, currently uses in a way. And Beyonce said she looked up to Aaliyah. So what's the problem?
How many albums have Aaliyah released?
I think Aaliyah had how many albums? Maybe three? Maybe
How
four?
many albums have Beyonce been in?
Because Beyonce has the chance to be on this earth to do it, though. We can't compare albums.
That's my thing. You need to be on this plane of existence for X amount of time.
So you're telling me Aaliyah could have never contributed
She contributed a lot.
Because
She contributed a lot of great music, but I don't think it's enough music to make her a legend.
Like, for instance, Tupac Shakur. He wasn't on this earth that long. but he's still being talked about in literature classes at universities. He's still making...
That's different. He's a rapper, okay?
What's the difference, though?
Rapping is relatively new to the music scene. So we had singers for thousands of years. You know, people have been singing all since we could sing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole idea of rapping and performing that's a relatively new thing. So he was one of the great rappers in the era where rapping was really starting to get out there and growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, rap was popular on the radios, and it was a thing. You know what I mean? He was like one of the first big rappers. So like he's different. Like, he came in the game fresh when the whole genre was new. So it's
but like I want to know, who is T-Pain? No offense, who is T-Pain to say such a thing about Aaliyah? What has he contributed to music that's so
I'm in
elevated?
love with the stripper.
Like, he has good music, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, oh, he's a terrible artist, because he's not. Like, I'm a fan of his work, but I can't say that he's someone that would really stick with me for years.
He won't, but someone asked him the question, he gave his honest answer, so I believe what he's saying.
Look, Aaliyah matters, she'll forever matter, okay?
I won't take that away from her.
And, you know, there's reasons why artists like Drake and Chris Brown had her featured on their songs with her old samples. And there's a reason why she has her makeup line that's out, MAC.
First off, she doesn't need a makeup line. Why are you giving dead people makeup lines?
Okay, so on to the next subject.
Just saying.
Someone is spicy today over
There's
here.
plenty of alive people who could use a makeup line. Just saying, like...
All I know is that I just
people out.
personally don't feel like T-Pain is the artist to say such a thing about someone that I feel has made a mark on music, for R&B at least.
Of
R&B and
course
soul
not.
music.
Of course not, because you're a diehard Aaliyah fan.
I am, but I do feel like there will be no one as in their own lane as Aaliyah. Like, from the way she carried herself, from her fashion sense, from her voice, I think it was very angelic. I do. I think she would have
disagree.
evolved into a megastar. Like, she was already on the verge, and unfortunately that happened.
I don't know. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
I think right now, Aaliyah, if she were still here, would have been a movie star, like we talked about before, probably. Movie star, a lot of movies. I feel like she would still be making albums here and there, and maybe her and Beyonce would have had different lanes. Beyonce would have been the pop star, she might have been the movie star.
Or she could have been like, or she could be like Sierra, who's not really, out there making music.
Okay, but we can't compare the two. Like,
I'm just saying, because when Sierra first came out, like, she was really doing her thing.
But you
like,
can't
she had the
compare
whole
the two.
1-2 step and my goodies, not my goodies.
Honestly, we can't compare the two though, because I feel like
But we can.
compared Aaliyah and Sierra, Aaliyah has contributed more to music. Sierra's super dope too, but I feel like Aaliyah is someone you just can't compare. I feel like Aaliyah would have been ongoing with her career in terms of relevancy. I do.
She might have got tired. She might have decided, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm retired.
I think she would have been the badass that she was if she would have just evolved and continued making her mark.
Sure, y'all. Sure.
So to me, she's legendary forever. One of my favorite female artists of all time.
Legendary. No.
What's the next topic, Luke?
HookUp culture.
Uh-oh.
In today's, society. Like, how do you feel about, all these dating apps, people going out there and just meeting people, hooking up, and all that comes with it?
Well, for me, I'm like an old soul with that stuff. Like, I really am. Like, for me, I'm like old-fashioned. Like, I believe in love and marriage one day. I'm not saying that people who woke up right now don't believe in the concept of marriage. I just feel like people are a bit more, I don't want to say carefree, because it doesn't hurt to be carefree, but I feel like not thinking as much about what they're doing. Everyone's just doing temporary things, and no one's really trying to build connections. It's rare to find connections. How do you feel?
I don't know. I feel like it's so hard not to give in to hookup culture for like young folks, just because like we're so busy, trying to, pay all these bills. Let's be real.
That too, yeah.
Times aren't the same from when our parents were younger. The bills are a little bit different now. Things are
But
more
I have a question
expensive.
though. What's the big deal about falling in love? I feel like even if you're busy, there's room to fall in love and connect with somebody on a deeper level, on a mental, spiritual level.
Well, if they don't want to fall in love with you, that's the whole thing. You feel me? Like, people are going to do what they want to do.
But,
and if they love you, they love you. If they don't, then there's no making them love you.
But people are so afraid of the word love and so afraid of getting too heavy with the person, I call it. But it's just like, why are we all scared?
I think people are afraid to open up because I think a lot of young people never actually had someone who like genuinely loves them and cares for them and experience what that's like, you know.
It can be, yeah, depending on the circumstance.
Yeah, like, a lot of people, they come from dysfunctional homes, and you know, maybe their parents didn't get along, you know, they're looking at relationships and love like this is what love looks like, you know what I mean? And so they don't really know how to go into a healthy relationship or recognize when someone's trying to have a healthy relationship with them.
True.
And so it's just like, you know, you need to keep your eye open, you know what I mean?
It's interesting. It's like no one wants to fall in love these days, but no one wants to be lonely.
Right. No one wants to fall in love, but, you know, everyone wants someone there with them.
And it's like everyone's walking contradictions when you think about it, when you say it like that out loud, because it's like you're not willing to make connections, but you want that person's presence, right? But you don't want them there full time. Then half the time there's misunderstanding between the two people. There's always somebody with a heart. Come on. There's always someone involved that wishes it could be more if they're hooking up.
And you know what? If that's all you want to do, you need to communicate that. If you just want to hook up and that's all you want, then you need to be honest with whoever you're talking to.
Communication is key, guys. It is key. I think we said it before. I'm going to say it again on this episode. It is key.
Okay, in unison, it is key.
It is, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think people are scared to, you know, fall in love. And I think a lot of people, they go on these apps and, you know, they hook up with people trying to fill a void or trying to find someone who gives them that special spark. But it's like, you're not really going to find that spark unless you put the time into, like, creating the fire. You know what I mean?
Like, for me, it's different. Like, if you're in a relationship, right, you break up. Rebounding, someone might feel good about a rebound. Like, okay, like, I'm not trying to find anything. I just got out of this relationship. But if you're just looking for hookups ongoing, how is that entertaining? I get why it could be, I guess, for guys. But for females, I'm like, it doesn't do much for me. I mean,
personally, for me, like, I don't have the energy to invest in multiple people at one time.
Thank you. Our
It's like
schedule
too
is too
stressful.
busy.
I'm busy. It's hard enough with one person, making sure that our times link up because, you know, let's be real, we're all adults and we have our own obligations outside of relationships and work and whatever the case is. So it's just like, you're spending a lot of time and energy trying to entertain multiple people and then most likely trying to hide it from the other people that you're entertaining other people.
That's what I'm saying. It's messy. Everyone's playing a big game. And to me, it's like, I'm only getting older. I don't got time for ongoing games. With my schedule, I can only deal with one. Okay? Not even trying to do more than one here. One, maybe two tops. But
One
even
part-time. One part-time. Yeah, let's be real.
But for me, I'm like, more people just entertaining. Back in the day, that was my vibe. But I'm like, 25, close to 30. We're trying to build connections here. So that's my thing.
How do you feel about the people who are going out there and are just hooking up with people and don't care?
That's their business. That's just how I really feel. It's really their business. It's just your preference of where you're at. You know what I mean? Your mental mindset. If you want to just be out here partying and just hooking up, that's your cup of tea. I mean, for me, it's just not mine. How about you?
I say just be safe about it. You know what I mean?
Please be safe.
Don't sit here, you know, meeting random people and having unprotected sex. You know, if something seems sketchy, it probably is sketchy. You shouldn't go for it.
That's what I mean by when I said before, kind of like careless. Is the word careless. I feel like these days a lot of people are careless. I feel like a lot of people out here ain't wrapping it up. I feel like a lot of people aren't really thinking wisely if you're going to be temporary with it, if you're going to be, you know, just irrational with it. I just feel like just wrap it up, people. That's all I ask.
Do you know what I feel is really important? If you all plan to meet someone off a line, please video chat with him. Like, you need to have like 3 or 4 video chatting dates before you actually meet up in person and have a real date. Not meeting up at someone's house. No, video chat first, like 3 or 4 times, so you get a feel of their personality, their vibes, their energy. And then you go to a nice little place, you know, public.
Yeah.
And then you meet them in person and you see if those vibes match, and then you can take it from there.
Exactly. So, I mean, this hookup culture is interesting how us millennials, you know, operate. But like I said, it's up to you. It's your preference. If you want to hook up with someone with no feelings, that's fine. But if you have a heart, embrace that too. Like, I know a lot of people are heartless out here for some odd reason. But if you're an old soul like myself, don't feel weird in that. Just be that rare breed, I guess, you know?
Depends on the time of year for me, y'all. I'm not going to lie. You never know what you might get.
So let's hop into the next topic.
All right.
I don't know if you heard about this. On social media, there's white models on Instagram. Basically basically trying to pass as black women. They call it nigger fishing. I don't know why they call it all that. I would just call it more blackface maybe, but they call it nigger fishing. And apparently it's people on Instagram just tanning themselves really dark trying to pass for black women. And what's happening is they're getting follows from people, clearly, big following, and they're over here getting attention from, men of color, I'm guessing. And it's a big controversy right now. So how do you feel about them doing this?
Well, I feel like intent has a lot to play with this. What is the intention of these girls? Like, is this an image that they're trying to portray? Or do they just naturally have, these fuller features and, are going tanning and, playing in makeup? Because I think, tanning and playing in makeup is perfectly fine. But I think if you're sitting there trying to portray this image and make that seem like that's yourself, then I think that's a problem. You know what I mean? Because I personally don't see the problem, dressing up in different makeups and trying out different looks. But, if your look is trying to look like someone else and then you're banking off that look and you're giving people this false perception hey, I'm a black woman, then I think that's a problem.
That's the thing. It's representation of the person. And you're over here. What gets me too is that I didn't even know this was happening, to be honest, until 2 days ago. And it's black men out here, Spanish men of color are obsessing over these women, I'm guessing. And it's you accept them as women of color, I guess, and you're accepting their features, but for actual black women, they judge us. I'm talking about the men judging us and saying that, certain ways that we look or something isn't good enough, but you embrace the white chicks who tend to try to look like us.
Yeah.
That's what makes me uncomfortable. And I'm glad someone's calling it out on social media, because no one should be out here acting like someone they're not.
Definitely.
Just to create this false narrative about themselves, just to get attention. So I definitely think that we have to do better on social media. It should be a fun platform. I get people hustle on there, But it's be yourself. If you can't be yourself, then maybe this isn't the field of career for you,
Don't take all pictures, trying to look like a black person. If you're white and you know that, you should take some photos, that accurately show who you are, not just give out this one image that falsely portrays yourself.
Because that's blackface.
Yeah, it is.
It's going back in time in a way of blackface. And I'm glad that we're not just settling for that, because that's something that's very uncomfortable. Just be you.
Be yourself,
point blank.
please.
Just be you. So, lovely Luke, tell us the next topic.
All right. So, our next topic, there was a quote on social media, and it basically says, how are you finding the love of your lives 5 times a year?
That's hilarious. I think I saw that, yeah.
It's how are you trying to find the love of your life when you're dating 5 different people in a year? And how are you in love like that?
It's truly impossible. That's why it goes back to the hookup culture in a way. And millennial, I think everybody's trying to fill a void, and they're ignoring red flags about people, and they're just hopping into relationships just to have someone so they're not alone. They're like companionship. And they're over here oh, I'm in love with this person. How can you be in love? You don't even know the person. You break up with this person, 2 months later, you're with someone new. That's not healthy. You're not really getting to know anyone. It's impossible for you to love 20 people within 2 years. So come on.
So
you can't love everybody. It's you're just trying to find certain things so you don't feel as alone. I feel. And that's the problem with millennials. And we're millennials, you know what I mean? And I feel we can do better in the dating department, because next thing I know, I can see people deleting pictures of their ex. Next thing I know, 2 months later, new chick or new guy in the picture with the person. And I'm just you think that's healthy?
Yeah.
Get to know yourself. Okay.
That's a major red flag for me, because when I see people who are constantly either jumping from one relationship to an next, or constantly in and out relationships in a short period of time, it's just you don't really know how to love other people, nor do you know how to love yourself appropriately. Because
it's really all about self-love that you have to have before you jump into relationships. Yeah.
I need that recovery time after I get out of a relationship, just to, reevaluate myself and things that I want, and, how I feel about, myself. And then, finally be ready to give that to someone. It's if you're just keep going dating different people, it's you don't get that recovery time. And then if you're dating multiple people in a shorter period of time, it's how do you really know what love is.
Well, I've had an experience. Like, I've known people in the past, not gonna say any names. I know people who have said, like, oh, they need companionship. And I'm like, how can you, like, say that you love yourself or you can stand alone if you feel that way? You know what I mean? Like, I've been single, for a while or whatever, but I'm glad that I haven't rushed to just jump into relationships just to fill voids. You know what I mean? Because then it's like you don't really know yourself. Then it's like you're depending on others for love and attention. You should be loving yourself and learning yourself. And the right person will pop up, but it shouldn't be like 5 times a year. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I will not take you seriously on Instagram when I see you with new, significant others all the time. So, it's just crazy out here.
I like that you said, they try to fill a void, and it's like a lot of times they are trying to do that, and they don't wind up doing it because, it's like you base things on, what you're seeing, and you're not really getting to know the person. So it's like, how can you, like, have a meaningful relationship?
Yeah, and in a way, I kind of blame dating apps a little bit for that. Just a little bit, not completely. Because you meet someone instantly, and then you're hanging out, and then all of a sudden you're rushing to everything. And now you're in a relationship, and then, well, we can't blame dating apps. Let me erase
only
that.
if you're fast, blame dating apps, because you shouldn't just meet someone up and, like, we're going to do it tonight.
I just think people just don't understand the meaning, like you said earlier, of love. They don't know what it is. There's a difference between having love for someone and then
being in love
and
with
being
them.
in love. And there's a difference. Should we break it down for them what the difference is?
You can break it down.
You can break it. Let me stop.
We're not going to define it for y'all today, because love can mean different things depending on who you're looking at.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone out there should think about it. You know what I mean? Just think about it before you say, oh, I love you. Because then you break up after 2 months. Then you jump into something else.
You look stupid. He looks stupid. Y'all both look stupid on social media when you take down each other's pictures. I'm going to laugh at you. Shanice is going to laugh at you. Everyone's going to laugh at you. And want to know what they're going to be like, oh, it's so sad, while they go DM your ex-boyfriend now.
Exactly. Like, we're used to your
DM
cycle
him.
now. Like, come on. How about we just learn the person we're dating, take our time, and even if you end up single again, just embrace being single for a while. It's okay. Single does not mean that you're awkward or that it's like a curse. You know what I mean? Like, just embrace that too.
Single is your time to live your best life.
Exactly.
Live your best life.
Live your best life, but don't live your whole life.
Yeah.
Or
Your
maybe
whole
you
life.
should.
It depends on what really makes you happy. I think that is a question that find deep within yourself. I think you need to meditate, maybe unlock your chakras, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
But you need to really figure out what makes you happy, and I think you need to not base that on someone else. You need to find happiness within yourself before you can even think about finding happiness together with someone else.
Exactly. It's like you just have to embrace whatever stage you are in life. That's just how I feel.
Amen.
Nothing's a taboo. You know what I mean? Nothing's embarrassing to talk about. Okay, you're single, you're having a hotation, like Issa Rae says, hotation.
Hotation.
That's okay too. And if you want to be in a relationship, that's fine as well. But make sure that you're not depending on another person. That's all.
I agree.
So, our last topic of the day. Too busy or just not interested?
Ooh.
You know what I mean when I say that, Luke?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I feel like you bump into people who say they like you. You're talking for a few months, and they're like, oh, let's hang out one day. And you're all hype. You're like, we're about to hang out. And then all of a sudden, they say, oh, I have work this day, or oh, I can't today. I'll let you know when I can. And then you never hear from them again sometimes. And they just keep up the same cycle as well sometimes, And I'm just like, are they really too busy? Or are they just not interested? And they don't have the guts to tell you the real deal.
They're just not into you, y'all. Let me tell you, someone who has played the rodeo game before, if you're not making time for someone, they're just not into you, okay? I don't care how busy you are, what job you work. If you genuinely like someone, you will find time for them. And if you can't make plans on a certain day, you would suggest a plan on a day that you are available and try something to meet up with this person. You're not just like, oh, I'm busy, I'm tired, or I'm unavailable. No. If you want to see that person, you will make a way to see that person. Okay, we're adults. If you need to sit there and drive out to my house at 12 o'clock at night and spend an hour with me because we haven't seen each other all week and you miss me and I miss you, then you better go ahead and do that. But if you
Shows
can't,
you care.
yeah, you need to show that you care. No one wants to feel like you don't care. You're not trying to make plans. It's
Yeah.
just like, no.
Because, when I was younger, I didn't realize when someone was curving me. Because when they do that, that's called a curve in my eyes, curving. And I didn't think, I was like, oh, they're really busy and all that stuff. Then I'll see them with a new person like a month or two later, you know what I mean, on Instagram or something. And I didn't realize the game until now. And I feel like within the last few months, whenever I would talk to someone and they wouldn't rush to hang out or whatever, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to deal with this person because they're not too busy. They're just not interested.
Yeah.
And I'll just take the hint and go. So it's like sometimes you really can't tell if you're, how can I say this? Trying to be optimistic about certain things with that person. You don't want to believe they're going to go ahead and just curve you that way.
Or ghost you.
Yeah. And it's like, shows a maturity level, really. So
I think it's also up to everyone to make sure that we're recognizing those signs, and we're not going to sit there and keep chasing people who clearly aren't investing the time and energy back into you. Because I think a lot of times, people will have this false hope, that something's going to work out, or, it's going to be okay, or maybe they are actually just busy, and we'll be able to meet up and make it work. But a lot of times they're just egging you on. It's like after a couple of times, it's like, let it go. Okay, let it go. Let it go. And if they don't, hit you up and they don't try to make plans, then hey, it's done. Don't mess with it. Now for sure that person wasn't really about it. They're just there to waste your time and fill the void.
That's the thing, waste your time. I'm about to say that.
Hashtag
That's
waste
one
your
thing
time.
I can't stand about dating in this generation. A lot of selfishness going on. A lot of times they say, oh, they're too busy, but they don't really tell you anything. Because I call it push and pull method that I see. They push you away, then pull you back in, months later when they're bored or something. They don't want to make it final. Because it's like, oh, what if I'm alone again? At least I can call this person, that person, because they just thought I was busy and stuff like that. And to me, that's what's so messy about this generation. We have honesty, communication, right? The older you get, why are you wasting someone's time when your intentions can be different?
Because people don't really know what they want nowadays. And I think people are really scared of what they actually want. So they may keep things that they view as a lesser option close to them so they could play with it. You know what I mean? So that way when one thing doesn't work out, they have something to lean back on. But that may not be the thing that they're precisely looking for.
Yeah.
And so, they keep you around just to keep you in their back pocket. So when the girl that they really like or the guy that they really like, doesn't work out, they can be like, oh, hey, come over. You want to hang out? And hopefully,
It's so annoying.
you're not like,
So inconsistent, and everybody wants to claim someone, but they don't want to be claimed, if that makes sense. So that's the problem with our generation. I hope we do better.
I want to be claimed. If we're in a relationship or we're messing around, you better claim me. Okay, you better claim all of this.
That's what I feel too, yeah.
Okay, you show me off, because if you don't, I feel like you're hiding me from someone else or something else, and that is a problem. Okay, I want
Facts.
our pictures on your Instagram.
Preach.
Okay, I want our Facebook.
Preach.
Okay, relationship status. If you have a Facebook, you better put my name in there too.
Ooh,
Okay,
the name.
You better put it in.
I was about to say just put in a relationship. You said the name too.
No, with so and so. Okay, and if you can't do that for me,
Then bye.
then bye.
Boy, bye.
Bye, Felicia.
So, all I'm saying is, millennials, we can do better. I'm an old soul over here. Luke's kind of an old soul, I think, with modern twists, and that's fine.
I'm young, yo.
But I feel like communication is something we all need to work on. And if you're too busy, fine. But if you're not, just keep it 100, please.
And please put effort into the things you care about. If you're busy and you're hardworking, like a lot of us are, but you really have someone you care about, make sure you're taking that 1 second out in the day, text them like, hey, thinking about you, I miss you, but I'm really busy, I'm going to hit you up a little later when I'm free.
That's important too. Text message, just take 2 seconds. 2 seconds to communicate. Like, even if you say, oh, good night, good morning, that goes a long way for a person. It really does.
It's the small things, yo. The small things.
Just to show you want to be present, before I go ahead and move on to another. You know what I mean? Show that you want to be present and the only one in my mind.
Right.
Point blank. Well, on that note, that was a deep discussion we had today.
We had a lot to talk about today, y'all.
So on that note, we're going to wrap it up today. It's your girl, Shanice Danielle.
It's your boy, Luke.
Thank you, Wine and Chillers, for tuning in tonight. Catch you next week. Peace.